"What Did You Do Last Week" was the title of the email representing the latest attack on federal employees. After a threatening post on X to federal employees per President Trump's instructions, OPM sent a vague email with no clarification of what federal employees to do, unlike what they did with the Fork in the Road email. In this episode, we're going to share the differences between the email and the post on X. We're going to share our concerns over this actions, and we're going to discuss what you should be doing next as a response to this email. Welcome. I'm Ed Smith, President of Valor Wealth Partners, where we're dedicated to educating federal employees on your complex and often underutilized benefits. In the world of uncertainty for federal employees, OPM once again found a way to shock the federal workforce. Now, most of you have probably either heard or seen the email that came out on Saturday. When I say most of you, it's because that not everybody received the email from what we're hearing. So let's get into the actual post on X and the email that was sent from OPM. So the post on X was consistent with President Donald Trump's instructions. All federal employees will shortly receive an email requesting to understand what they got done last week. Failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. Now, the email, please reply to this email with approximately 5 bullets of what you accomplished last week and CC your manager. Please do not send any classified information, links, or attachments. Deadline is Monday at 11:59 p.m. EST. Okay, so that's what the information that we're going off of. Obviously, we looked at a lot of other resources, but let's look at the differences between the post on X and the email from OPM. First off, there was no threat in the email for failure to respond. So while the post on X was very threatening and threatened that was an act of you resigning, that was not in the official email that came out from OPM. Now, the deadline of Monday at midnight Eastern Standard Time, that's very soon. So this is going to be very interesting to see what happens in the next 24 hours. And then the demand for 5 bullet points. Very clear on there, but no clarification of exactly what duties they're looking to be able to do. And then the instructions to not send classified information was also in the email that was not in the post on X. So there was some different clarifications on that email that came. But again, it was still very vague as far as the information that was out there. So let's look at the concerns that we have when we looked at all of this information. The big question that keeps coming up, not just on this, but on everything that's happened in the last month is this legal? We aren't attorneys, but our opinion is no. And we have 3 points of why this happens. Again, this is going to be brought out in the courts, and they're going to decide if it's legal or not. But our opinion of no is based off of 3 things. 1, agencies are responsible for any performance reviews, not OPM. Resignations need to be voluntary with all available information, and this lacks the due process protections federal employees have. So because of those 3 things, those are 3 areas that we are already very concerned with, and they're already being brought up on this. And I'm sure legal drafts are already being constructed, if not already filed, as far as where the situation goes. The legal battle will get brought out. And we're going to talk about what you should do on this. All right, another concerns that we have is many federal employees work with sensitive classified information. Who is going to be reading this, and do they have the classification to read this information? So if everything that you did last week, the 5 bullet points you have was all classified, do you just put a redacted 5 bullet points right there? So I don't know how that's going to handle or what's going to happen on this situation. How will this information eventually be used? That's a big concern of where all of this information is going and how that's going to be done. Okay, the short time frame may not allow for agencies to make a clear directive of what to do. And what I mean by this is by Monday at midnight. Well, in the DC area, we have a lot of people that come in early and then leave early because of the traffic. They're still working a full day, but they're leaving before 5 o'clock, let's say. So let's say they're leaving at 3. They come in at 6 or 7 in the morning, trying to avoid rush hour on both sides because the traffic in this area is pretty bad. So they work a little bit of adjusted hours. They leave at 3 o'clock. Their supervisor comes back and says, or the agency comes back and say, this is what we want you to do with this email, but you've already been gone for an hour or 2. The deadline is into midnight. Not everybody has access to their government emails and home. So do you drive back to the office to be able to file an email to say, this is what I did so I don't get fired? So the timing just doesn't give a lot of time for agencies to make a decision of what to do or how the employee should act, never mind be able to be functional to be able to do this. So that's a big concern I have there. And then what if you were off last week? Or what if you're off this week? Last week was actually a short week with a President's Day and a federal holiday. So how is all of this working? There wasn't any clarification around there. Again, like the fork of the road, they specifically said how to handle those situations if you were not physically working last week or not actively working. So those are our concerns. So let's go to how we recommend you respond to this email. Now, we saw this post on Reddit from Everett, Kelley, the AFGE national president. It was not on their website, so we haven't seen an official document from Mr. Kelley, although we really do like the name Everett because that's the name of our comfort manager here at our company. So we don't know if this is official or not, but this is what was there. They used Everett Kelley's name, and so we're believing that it was him that did this. If it wasn't, again, that's where the source is. It's in the notes section. That link is there, so you can read it if you want to. So we want to thank AFGE and Mr. Kelley if, in fact, he did do this. But we liked what was found as far as the response that you should be able to do on this. Again, not attorneys, but this is how we think this is a very fair response to that email. Dear Supervisor, I received the below email today from a sender that was not within the agency or in my chain of command. Please provide me guidance on whether I am required to respond, and if so, how I should respond by the end of my tour of duty on Monday. Please make sure to inform me of the type of information I should include in my response. If I am required to respond, I will. I will assume that I have no obligation to respond to this email unless instructed to do so. Okay, so that's a really great crafted response to that. We do have a couple of points that we would make a difference there. One, don't normally really have to forward the email. So we would actually just send an email without forwarding it. Just say, hey, I got an email. They're going to know because they got it as well. Everybody in the federal workforce, or most people got it. And just instead of doing it, just saying, I received an email, you don't necessarily have to forward that email on there. The other one is state the time your tour of duty ends, your shift ends on Monday. They said by the end of my tour of duty on Monday. I would make it very clear. Again, like we talked about earlier with the concerns, because different people leave at different times, you want to be able to be very clear to your supervisor, hey, I'm going at this point. I'm not going to be able to respond unless you tell me what to do before I leave. And that's just a fair assessment, but you're giving them a specific time of when you're leaving, and so they know what that time frame is going to be. Okay. And then, I would follow the direction from your immediate supervisor. If they tell you to respond, if they tell you not to respond, and you would have it in writing. Don't just take a verbal, say, hey, everybody, don't worry about that email. Well, no, get it in writing that you were told not to respond. Again, I'm a very big believer in getting everything in writing. And then if they do not respond, maybe say an hour before you're ready to leave, just say, hey, haven't heard anything back. I'm leaving in an hour. What's going on here? Just want to make sure I'm getting the clarification I need. And again, they probably don't have the information because they have to wait for the agency heads to actually push it down to them. Again, there's everybody on all levels of chain of command are getting this and trying to figure out what to do. I'm sure they're working on it now, but again, it's a very short time frame, so we'll see what's going to happen. Okay. Now, here's something that's, I want to be able to help provide something to really help federal employees get through this period of time. So, if we can't laugh, we will cry. And so we've seen the Alt National Park Service Facebook page. It is a phenomenal resource. These guys are blunt. Sorry, guys and ladies are very blunt. There's some really good humor on there. They actually put some posts on regarding, let's hear some funny responses to this email. Put the 5 things that you did this week in a very satirical way. So I think that on that Facebook page, it's going to be a little bit of fun and humor. Get to vent some of your energy that's out if you want to be able to post it and have a little bit of fun with that. Now, if you have some place that you go to that's finding some of this humor or the humorous relief that you can possibly get, or just a great resource, please share it in the comment section because we do read them, and we'd love to be able to help more people as federal employees are being attacked on just trying to do their job. So please share those resources and we'll be able to help you out. We look forward to helping you in the next video. Thank you very much.